Hey, welcome to Geek Speak. What you want to talk about, brother?
So, I don't know if y'all have heard or been part of the complaining. When they released the trailer to the new Wolverine Deadpool,
Yeah.
the fans, hardcore purists, is that the word?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Was upset that there was sleeves on Wolverine's costumes.
Oh!
So if you go and look at the trailers now,
Yeah,
they have CG arms on Wolverine. They have
to try to remove the sleeves?
to make the fans happy. Now this is them really going out of their way to spend an extra how many ever thousands of dollars
Right.
to CG
Yeah.
skin, veins, and everything else. I mean, Hugh Jackman, I'm sure, is jacked and in
Oh,
good
yeah,
shape.
yeah.
But
It's
for
right in
them,
his name.
yeah, but for them, yeah, Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jacked Man.
But for them to go through all that trouble to change what they had done, it kind of floors me.
Yeah, they did that with Sonic, the Hedgehog movie.
Oh yeah, but that needed it.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
I seen it.
yeah.
I agree. That was
So,
scary.
I mean, there's a line in between. First of all, no matter what you do, somebody's not going to like it. So so you have to kind of get that in your mind if you produce or make or write or
Right.
anything. So and there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody's got an opinion, and you shouldn't be forced to like something. And so the fact that they did that to help those fans, they went to the extra money. As long as it looks good and it isn't distracting,
Right.
then yeah, I don't have a problem with it. But at some point, you just need to say, hey, we're going to make the movie we're going to make, and if you
Well, I
like
mean,
it,
yeah, I
you
can
like it.
understand like when they took off Cavill's mustache to play Superman.
Yes.
That's understandable.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
to go to all that trouble,
Right.
I'm not buying it.
Well, so Star Wars Acolyte, I
Right.
have not watched.
I have not
You have
watched
not
it.
watched it either. But the fandom is just going off about Star Wars Acolyte.
Okay. Good or bad?
Bad, bad. As bad as it was back when The Last Jedi came out, and so it's that bad.
Okay.
So, like episode 3, I haven't watched. I didn't watch Ahsoka, and I won't. I haven't watched Acolyte, and I won't. And I'm kind of done with Disney Star Wars, and I'm actually going back and rewatching the ones we grew up with, and renewing my love for Star Wars.
Okay.
And they're taking it in the direction they want to take it, and they're entitled to, and because they own the IP. But like, there's these lesbian witches that live on this planet, not Night Sisters, but they can use the Force to impregnate each other.
Oh, you weren't being derogatory. This is part of the story.
Oh, this is part of the story.
Oh, I thought
Yeah.
you was just being
No.
derogatory.
And so they can use the Force to create life, a lot like Anakin supposedly was some immaculate birth. And so they don't even call it the Force; they call it the thread. And so I watched some clips of like a chant that they went through. The power of the one, the power of the two, the power of the many. It's just as goofy and cheesy as any B sci-fi movie
No.
that we would have seen in the 60s or 70s. And so the fans are going off on it, but they're entitled to go off on it. You're entitled to like or dislike anything you want.
True.
So, but Disney is, of course, doing the exact same thing they did during Last Jedi. They're attacking the fans and saying you don't like it just because there's women in it or there's a woman lead in it. When the fact is like, you take something like Rogue One, which was a fantastic movie.
Yeah, it was a good movie.
Made by Disney, had a female lead in it, and everybody loves it. So your argument doesn't really hold up. You look at something like Fallout, that series, it has a female lead in it, and the fans absolutely love it.
Right.
So good writing gets rewarded and bad writing doesn't. So it doesn't really have anything to do with
Well, I mean,
sexism or
when
racism
things go
or
awry,
anything like that.
nobody wants to take the blame and say, "Oh, yeah, I screwed up."
But Disney's in hot water anyway because somebody went on a Twitter date or one of these dates with one of the major executives there at Disney, and they videotaped it. So they set the guy up, and he's talking about how that not only some roles are like, well, we're going to make this, we need this character, but it can't be a white male because we don't want any more white males in Star Wars. And he even went so far as say, I'm not going to be promoted anymore. We don't promote, white males within Disney. Some jobs are like, well, we don't want it to be open to a white male, and the girl was like, well, you imply that, right? They don't actually say it. And he was like, no, they actually say it. And so,
Yeah, we
so
don't
that,
discriminate
yeah,
against
so
anybody
that,
in
so
Florida.
that, so that's gotten Disney in trouble too. So Disney is a hot mess, a hot mess.
Well,
And but anyway, what else you want to talk about, brother?
so I am a fan of the comic book Watchmen. And
Fantastic comic,
right, and I enjoyed the movie. It's not the comic,
still great.
but it was still good.
I love it.
And so now they're getting ready to release a Watchmen cartoon.
Oh yeah.
And I was actually, my daughter actually brought my attention to it, and I was sitting there thinking, well, why don't they just use the audio from the movie to do the cartoon? But, Alan Moore, who wrote The Watchmen,
Yeah.
he said certain mediums, like when a story's wrote for a certain medium,
Yeah.
it doesn't translate over to the other
That
medium.
makes sense.
And it didn't translate completely correct. Like the comics is great for its own reason, and the movies are good for its own reason, but they don't match up.
Yeah.
And I'm worried about the cartoon is because the cartoon might do things that the movie couldn't, blah, blah, blah. I'm just a fan of Alan Moore, and I think Alan Moore with the whole Watchmen thing got kind of stuck over anyway because he can't do anything with the characters as long as they keep spitting out or reprinting the Watchmen within a year's time.
Yeah.
And so he'll never get those characters back because they keep throwing stuff out. And I'm worried that like what Disney does to these IPs, whoever has control of the Watchmen, I guess it's DC.
Yeah.
It's
Warner Brothers.
Is going to do the same. Yeah, Warner Brothers is
Yeah.
going to do the same thing to the Watchmen.
Yeah, they
I
did.
haven't seen the TV series.
Yeah.
Now I heard good and negative things about that as well.
They did that with the Fantastic Four movies. They had the rights to the Fantastic Four as long as they came out with a new product periodically.
Right.
And they would just crank something out sometimes just to crank it out, just to keep control of that property.
Right.
And but no, I'm a big fan of the Watchmen. I mean, that's actually on my list of things that maybe we do a 2-0 Geeks for. Because that is just a classic comic book story. It's one of the first stories where somebody stepped outside of the DC characters and the Marvel characters, and they created their own world and their own characters and told a really politically realistic, relevant story.
Like even before the boys, we had they
Right.
showed a side of a superhero that you were like,
Yes.
oh,
Yeah, like if superheroes really existed
Right.
in our world, what they would be like. So yeah, he's a pioneer of that. Some people say it's overrated, but it's not because it was the first.
right.
So something popular like The Boys, which is popular and which I enjoy, is just a shadow of what The Watchmen was. So I finally got around to watching Wednesday.
Oh yeah, what'd you think about it?
And
know it was
I really
popular.
wasn't interested in it, and Teresa, she wanted to watch it. Well, I think I enjoyed it as much or more than her. First of all, I didn't realize Tim Burton did it, and not only that, but he got Danny Elfman to do the music in it.
Holy crap!
So I mean,
I know that dance was everywhere.
well, I mean, it was my granddaughter Skylar, she was doing it in the living right over there, every chance she got. But the thing is that it's really well written. The actress, it's a female lead, and nobody ever complained about that
Well, I mean,
show.
the show's named after the female.
Yeah. But I mean, I was just kind of poking fun at Disney. But yeah, I mean, but the thing is, it's just so well written and so good, and I'm enjoying it so much. And it's done in that Tim Burton style, which is
Kind of goes good with Adam.
yeah. It's unrealistic, which is what you want in something that's fantastical like that. And so I've just really been enjoying that. So if you get a chance to check it out, yeah, I know everybody else has seen it. I'm the last one who hasn't watched it, but yeah,
you
it's
think
great.
they'll come out with any more? Or
Oh,
that was
absolutely.
it?
No. It was too popular. Too
Because
popular.
I know that actress has gone on to do other things. Like
Yeah.
she's going to be in the new Beetlejuice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's talented. She's good. The whole cast is. What else you want to talk about, brother?
Okay, so I'm big into props, building things, making things, and so I'm really surprised that I've never gone to Wonderfest. I don't know if you all are familiar with Wonderfest.
Yes.
It's a large con, I guess, or community that gets together, and they do kit bashing. They show models. You can purchase models like home kits that's made, and like this past month, and it's here in Louisville, Kentucky.
Yeah.
Right, over
Is
about,
it always in Louisville?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and I know you like the television show Picard.
Yes.
So the guy who built all the ships for Picard was there with the ships from Picard.
Like the first and third season. I just want to make that clear.
He was there, so I mean, in that circle to see that kind of name,
right?
That would be like if Spielberg walked into a movie con or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, he's pretty big. So next year we got to go.
We got to go.
We got to
go. I mean, somebody posted an hour and a half long video on YouTube, and they had over 1,000 entries,
right,
of models. And so they got it divided up to where you have your vendors on one side and your model entries for the contest on the other.
Right.
And these models were just incredible paint jobs. You know, I've done a little bit of painting, you know, on that Judge Dredd 3D print I did, and on that Predator from the movie Prey, and I enjoyed that so much. But my skill level is here, and their skill level is just...
Well, they've been at it longer.
But it was unbelievable, and it was just so, I mean, so pleasurable. And
I just see what one of the competitions was this year. Mm-hmm. So, because you're a Star Trek fan, there's a fairly cheap shuttle that you can get.
Yeah.
And what they done was got everybody to purchase, everybody that wanted to enter.
Yeah.
Purchase this at a even cheaper price through the con itself.
Yeah.
And they got to modify it. So there was one that looked like the 18 van.
Oh, yeah.
Another one that looked like something else where they've combined it with other IPs.
Yeah.
And I mean, they were kicked in. And somebody made a scale docking bay for the shuttles to be sit in to have pictures taken. It was awesome.
I mean, they have sci-fi, they have horror. Mm-hmm. They actually had some people that had actual movie props that were damaged, and they had restored them through paint and stuff, and they had them on display. One that really stuck out to me, and I've never watched the show, but it was Frasier. They actually made like the entire sets of Frasier in there, and a little diorama. And I enjoyed it, even though I never watched the show. You know, just seeing all the detail that they had done. So yeah, that's fantastic. But we definitely need to do that next year. We got to put that on the calendar to start looking for.
Maybe even do an episode from there.
That would be cool.
That would be cool.
Okay, you got anything else?
Nope.
Okay, so my comic book recommendation is not a comic book, but it started out as a comic book.
Okay.
So, do you remember that? Do you?
Yeah.
So years ago, me and Robert decided we were going to try to do a comic book together because that was kind of a dream of ours. And so I was going to write it, he was going to draw, and so I drew up probably about half the story, like you would a comic book script.
Right.
You know, panel 1, panel 2, and to give you some idea of what was going to happen in each panel. And you even done some rough sketches, and then life with working full time and raising a family, and it got dropped by the wayside. So I came across that comic book script, and I decided, you know what, I've done this much work on it, I'm just going to convert it over to a book. So I had to do a lot of work to change it from what it was like to the book, and then I had to add to it and everything. Well, I finally got it finished and chucked it in the closet, and that's where it stayed. Well, Teresa was on me to just keep on, you need to get that published. You need to get it published. It's good. So I went in and reread it because I'd done it several years ago, and you change. And so I reread it, and so I altered it. So finally self-published it through Amazon, and it's called The Legend of Wing Chun. And there's an actual Chinese martial art called Wing Chun. And the story of Wing Chun was always like 1 or 2 paragraphs. And so I thought it would be neat to take that and flesh it out to a huge story, to add characters, to add motivations. Why are you doing what you did? And so so I did that. And I even on the back of it, remember the voice when you did old movie trailers?
Right.
The voice. Can you do the voice? The
Yeah,
voice, yeah.
sure.
So I even tried to write it like that. In ancient China, a young girl forced to be betrothed to a cold-blooded killer. Her only hope was a mysterious hermit and a new style of kung fu. Before Bruce Lee, before Ip Man, there was Wing Chun. So anyway, and what I try to write it at is and I've said this before, is there's something called the human condition. So in other words, and I've said this before, and I'll say it at least one more time. Breaking Bad was about cooking meth. I don't care about cooking meth, but the show was well written because it was about people.
Right.
And Sons of Anarchy is about motorcycle gangs, and I don't care about motorcycle gangs, but I love the show because it's about people. And that's what I try to write this at, because in today's society, in 2024, they want to just focus on everybody's differences. But if you laid out humankind's differences over here and our similarities over here, there's really no comparison.
Right.
We have far more in common than we have differences, and so that's the way I tried to write it, to where if you're not into Chinese culture, if you're not into history, if you're not into old kung fu movies, if you're not into the whole teacher and student dynamic, you'll still get something out of it just because it's got that human element in it. And so that's why I tried to write. So if you want to check it out on Amazon, it's called The Legend of Wing Chun, written by Tracy Cinnamon. That's me. It was just come available this month. And if you do get a copy, give an honest review on Amazon, positive or negative. I appreciate it. And that is my
recommendation.
And if you decide you want to pick it up and you decide you want to make a comic book out of it, well, there you go. There you got it. Well, anyway,
When you come to the house, you have to sign it, Tracy Quick Kick.
Okay, all right, I can do that. I can do that.
I'm done.
All right, I'm done too. I appreciate you watching, and stay geeky, my friends. And if you like our content, please hit that subscribe button. It means a lot. Thanks.